The Galactic Assembly had one universal rule that every spacefaring species learned upon their first interstellar contact. Earth was strictly forbidden territory. No observation, no communication, no visitation. When Vrax Keltoris, senior diplomat of the Altuvian Consortium, inquired about this peculiar regulation during his orientation, his mentor's 6 eyes widened simultaneously. "That information is classified even to most assembly members," Elder Pelnak whispered, her crystalline exoskeleton shimmering with anxiety. "But you're entitled to know, given your diplomatic clearance." Vrax's curiosity piqued. In 3 centuries of service, he'd encountered countless strange species and obscure protocols, but never such universal agreement on quarantining an entire planet. 3 standard cycles ago, Scout Fleet 7 encountered an unregistered vessel at the edge of the Orion Arm, Pelnak explained. The ship was primitive by our standards, combustion propulsion, rudimentary life support. We initiated first contact. Protocol. The holographic display activated, showing footage of a small craft with Voyager inscribed on its hull. "Humans," Pelnak continued. "Bipedal carbon-based organisms from a water-rich world they call Earth. Our linguistic algorithms deciphered their transmission disk easily enough. Their technology indicated a pre-warp civilization, suitable for observation but not direct contact." "Standard procedure," Vrax noted. "Why the quarantine?" Scout Commander Desix dispatched a stealth observation unit to Earth. Their mission was simple: assess the species' development without interference. Pelnak's voice dropped lower. None returned. Vrax's antennae twitched in disbelief. "Equipment failure?" The assembly sent a secondary team, more experienced, better equipped. They vanished too. The hologram shifted to display a blue-green planet, third from a yellow star. The third mission included our most advanced stealth cruiser, the shadowless Eclipse. They maintained orbit for 30 rotations, transmitting data about human civilization. Their reports were concerning. Vrax watched in fascination as the hologram displayed images of the planet's dominant species. Humans varied widely in coloration and stature, but shared the same basic form. The humans were violent, yes, but no more than other species at their development stage. Pelnak continued. What alarmed us was their adaptability, their persistence, their capacity to reverse engineer technology they shouldn't be able to comprehend. The footage showed humans in primitive protective suits discovering a surveillance drone that had malfunctioned. Within 17 planetary rotations, they had dissected our surveillance equipment and replicated parts of it. Technology that took other species millennia to develop. Pelnak's voice trembled slightly. Before the shadowless Eclipse could retreat, humans detected them. Somehow. They launched primitive missiles, completely ineffective against our shields, of course. But then, the hologram showed the cruiser suddenly losing power, drifting, helplessly. They broadcasted a simple message: "We know you're watching, come down peacefully or leave our orbit. This is your only warning." "Surely our ships could have," Vrax began. "The shadowless Eclipse was our most advanced vessel," Pelnak interrupted, "and these primitives disabled it with technology we couldn't even detect. When extraction teams arrived, they found the cruiser intact but empty. Every crew member had vanished." Vrax's exoskeleton paled. "And the humans?" "They simply returned to their daily activities as if nothing had happened. As if disabling an interstellar cruiser was routine." Pelnak closed the hologram. The Assembly's decision was unanimous. Earth is designated Class X, do not approach under any circumstances. It's the only planet with that classification in known space. As they departed the archives, Vrax couldn't help but wonder what terrifying capabilities these humans possessed that could frighten the entire Galactic Assembly into silence. "Ambassador, we have a situation." Commander Lyrith Navarre burst into Vrax's quarters aboard the diplomatic vessel Harmonious Discourse, her normally composed demeanor shattered. 3 solar cycles had passed since his orientation, and Vrax had nearly forgotten about the forbidden planet. "What's happened?" he asked, setting aside his cultural assimilation texts. "An unauthorized expedition to Proxima Centauri. 3 research Vessels privately funded, they've gone silent. Vrax felt his blood run cold. Proxima, that's in Earth's stellar neighborhood, just over 4 light-years away, Lyrith confirmed. The Assembly Council requests your immediate presence. Within moments, Vrax found himself in the ship's conference chamber, facing the projected images of the Assembly's highest officials. Grand Arbiter Moxthul, the ancient Voidborn who had led the Assembly for 7 centuries, spoke first. Ambassador Keltoris, we face an unprecedented crisis. The research expedition was led by Cravashi scientists seeking to study Proxima's unique stellar radiation. They were aware of the Earth quarantine protocols? Vrax asked. Fully aware, confirmed Science Director Ezrilth, her bioluminescent features pulsing with agitation. They maintained the prescribed 5 light-year minimum distance. Their last transmission mentioned unusual energy readings, then silence. The holographic display activated, showing the Proxima system and the last known coordinates of the expedition. 17 hours ago, continued Moxthul, we detected a transmission on all emergency channels, audio only. The recording played, "This is Captain Nalvash of the Stellar Inquirer. We are being boarded by unknown entities. They've bypassed all security protocols. They look like..." The transmission dissolved into static. 2 hours later, this appeared on our long-range sensors. The hologram shifted to show a massive vessel of unfamiliar design approaching the Proxima system. Its hull was a patchwork of technologies, some recognizably Cravashi, others completely foreign. "That can't be," Vrax whispered. "The ship is constructed partly from components of our missing research vessels," Ezrilth confirmed. "And it's being piloted by these beings." The image zoomed to show the bridge crew. Bipedal figures in simplistic spacesuits emblazoned with a blue circle containing a white symbol. "Humans," Vrax breathed. "They've achieved interstellar travel centuries ahead of our developmental models," Moxthul said grimly. "Using our own technology against us." Vrax studied the images carefully. "What are they doing now?" "They've established an outpost on Proxima B and appear to be mining resources. They've made no attempt to communicate with us. And the Cravashi crews?" A heavy silence fell over the chamber before Science Director Ezrilth spoke. "We detected life signs aboard the human vessel. Not all Cravashi. Some appear to be altered." The implications chilled Vrax to his core. "They're experimenting on them?" "We don't know," admitted Moxthul. "But we need to establish communication. The Assembly has voted to send a diplomatic mission. Given your clearance and knowledge of the Earth situation, you've been selected to lead it." Vrax stared at the hologram, at the patchwork ship crewed by beings who had somehow leaped from primitive rocketry to reverse-engineered interstellar travel in less than 3 cycles. "Ambassador?" prompted Lyrith. "Will you accept the mission?" "I will," Vrax said, though dread filled his heart. "But I suggest we approach with extreme caution. These humans have already demonstrated capabilities far beyond our understanding." As the conference ended, Vrax couldn't shake the feeling that the Assembly had grievously underestimated this young species from the forbidden blue world. The diplomatic vessel Harmonious Discourse dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Proxima system, maintaining a respectful distance from the human outpost. Vrax stood on the bridge, 6-fingered hands clasped behind his back, watching the view screen with apprehension. "Hail them on all frequencies," he ordered. "Standard first contact protocols." Communications Officer Revna adjusted her neural interface. "Transmitting now, Ambassador." Minutes stretched into hours with no response. The human vessel continued its operations, shuttling between their makeshift station and Proxima B's surface. "They're ignoring us," muttered Security Chief Dorn, a massive Ursidian whose dense fur bristled with irritation. "Or they don't recognize our communication methods," Vrax countered. "Remember, they've cobbled together technology from different species." As if in response to his words, the view screen flickered. A face appeared, a human female with dark skin and closely cropped silver hair. Her eyes were unnervingly direct. "This is Admiral Elodie Mercier of the United Earth Pioneer Corps. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Vrax stepped forward. I am Ambassador Vrax Keltoris of the Galactic Assembly. We come in peace, seeking dialogue regarding the Crave research team and your presence in this star system. The human's expression remained impassive. The Crave researchers violated our territorial boundary and employed scanning technology directed at Earth. They were detained according to our security protocols. Territorial boundary? Vrax questioned. Proxima Centauri is over 4 light-years from your homeworld. All systems within 5 light-years of Sol are considered Earth territorial space, Admiral Mercier stated matter-of-factly. This was clearly broadcast following our first encounter with your kind. Vrax exchanged glances with Lyrith. The Assembly had received no such broadcast, or had chosen not to share it with diplomatic staff. Perhaps there was a misunderstanding, Vrax offered carefully. The Assembly respects sovereign boundaries. We merely seek the safe return of the Crave scientists. They're unharmed, the Admiral replied, but they will remain in our custody until our investigation concludes. Their vessels contained warfare analysis algorithms focused on Earth defense capabilities. That's standard xenological research, protested Science Officer Ezrilth from behind Vrax. We study all species' defensive capabilities. The Admiral's gaze hardened. When conducted 5 light-years from our homeworld, we consider it hostile. Intelligence gathering. Vrax needed to de-escalate. Admiral, perhaps we could meet in person to discuss this situation? A neutral location of your choosing. Neutral territory does not exist within our sovereign space, Mercier replied. But we will allow a single representative to board our vessel. Security Chief Dorn stepped forward. Absolutely not. We cannot guarantee the ambassador's safety. The Admiral smiled thinly. If we intended harm, Chief Dorn, your shields would have failed 17 minutes ago when our systems first interfaced with them. A chill ran through the bridge. They had said nothing to identify Dorn by name or rank. I'll go, Vrax said before anyone could object. Prepare a shuttle. Hours later, Vrax found himself escorted through the human vessel, a disconcerting blend of salvaged alien technology integrated with crude but effective human engineering. His escorts were silent, armed with weapons he didn't recognize. In the conference room waited Admiral Mercier and a gray-haired human male introduced as Dr. Reginald Wolfe, Xenobiology. Ambassador, Mercier gestured to a seat. Let's speak plainly. Your assembly has been observing Earth for decades, cataloging our weaknesses, assessing our worth. Did you think we wouldn't notice? The Assembly's interest was purely scientific, Vrax insisted. Dr. Wolfe slid a display pad across the table. On it were images of Assembly surveillance outposts throughout the Sol system, many Vrax hadn't known existed. These facilities, Wolfe said quietly, contain weapons platforms and biological sampling equipment. Scientific interest, I was not aware of these installations, Vrax admitted truthfully. We believe you, Mercier said surprisingly. Your biosignals indicate honesty. The Assembly keeps secrets even from its diplomats. What do you want? Vrax asked directly. Recognition, replied Mercier. Earth will no longer be treated as a curiosity or potential conquest. We've reverse-engineered enough of your technology to defend ourselves and expand beyond our system. We want formal acknowledgement of our sovereign territory and Assembly membership. Vrax blinked in astonishment. Membership? But Earth hasn't completed the developmental stages required for developmental stages imposed by species who had millennia to advance, interrupted Dr. Wolfe. We've compressed that timeline considerably. The Assembly won't easily accept these terms, Vrax cautioned. Admiral Mercier leaned forward. Then perhaps a demonstration is in order. Please inform your vessel to prepare for a short journey. Journey? Where? To meet the Crave scientists, she replied with an enigmatic smile, and to see exactly why Earth is off limits. The harmonious discourse followed the human vessel through unfamiliar space. They hadn't jumped to hyperspace. Instead, the humans had activated some unknown propulsion system that bent conventional physics in ways that made the Assembly's scientists aboard mutter in disbelief. This is impossible, Science Officer Ezrealth whispered, studying the readings. They're creating localized space-time distortions without a conventional drive system. The energy requirements alone should be— Save your analysis, Commander. Lyrith interrupted. We're slowing down. The view screen showed a massive structure emerging from the darkness, an artificial ring nearly 1,000 kilometers in diameter, orbiting a small planetoid near the edge of the Sol system. That's not on any of our charts, Security Chief Dorn growled. Admiral Mercier's face appeared on the communication screen. Welcome to Charon Station, Ambassador, the first of Earth's deep space defense platforms. Vrax felt a growing unease. This technology, it's far beyond what Earth should possess. Should is a limiting concept, Ambassador, Mercier replied, with a thin smile. Humanity doesn't concern itself with what we should be capable of. As they approached, the ring structure pulsed with energy, and a hangar bay large enough to accommodate both vessels opened like a massive iris. Follow our approach vector precisely, warned the Admiral. Deviate by even a quarter degree and our automated defense systems will interpret it as hostile intent. Once docked inside the station, Vrax and a small delegation were permitted to disembark. The interior was even more unsettling than the human ship, a seamless integration of technologies from at least 7 different civilizations Vrax recognized, and several he didn't. They were led to a vast chamber where the missing Krivashi scientists worked alongside humans, apparently unharmed and engrossed in complex calculations displayed on holographic interfaces. As you can see, your colleagues are quite well, Dr. Wolf explained, joining them. In fact, most have applied to extend their stay. One of the Krivashi, senior researcher Malkith, approached them. Ambassador Keltoris, the humans have been most accommodating once we agreed to their terms. Terms of your imprisonment, Dorn snarled. Collaboration, Malkith corrected. They've shown us technologies that the Assembly has been suppressing for centuries. Did you know that quantum entanglement can be used for instantaneous communication across unlimited distances? The Assembly told us it was theoretically impossible. Vrax turned to Admiral Mercier. What exactly are you demonstrating here? Follow me, she replied, leading them deeper into the station. They arrived at a chamber dominated by a massive transparent dome. Below, they could see Earth, beautiful, blue, distant. This is our monitoring hub, Mercier explained. From here, we track every ship, probe, and signal in a 15-light-year radius of Sol. How? Ezrealth demanded. Even our most advanced sensor arrays can't achieve that level of coverage. We don't use conventional sensors, Dr. Wolf explained. We discovered that the quantum vacuum itself can be used as a detection medium. Everything that moves through space leaves a trace at the quantum level. That's theoretically sound, but practically impossible, Ezrealth said, her confidence wavering. Impossible for most species, Mercier agreed. But humanity has a unique advantage: desperation. For most of our history, we've been surrounded by threats, predators, rival tribes, hostile nations. We evolved to detect danger before it finds us. She gestured to another display showing hundreds of blinking lights representing vessels throughout nearby space. When your scout fleet first approached Earth, they thought themselves undetectable. But we'd already been tracking them for months. We let them come close, let them think they had the advantage. But why maintain the pretense? Vrax asked. Why not simply announce yourselves to the galaxy? Dr. Wolf smiled sadly. We studied your histories, Ambassador. When technologically advanced civilizations encounter less developed ones, the outcome is rarely favorable for the latter. We needed time to understand the players, to build our defenses, to ensure humanity wouldn't become just another footnote in galactic history. Mercier touched a control, and the dome display shifted to show something that made Vrax's heart stutter: an artificial structure in high Earth orbit, hidden from conventional detection by technology he couldn't comprehend. This is Aegis Platform Alpha, she said, one of 12 we've constructed around Earth, each capable of projecting a defensive field that can neutralize any known weapon in the Assembly's arsenal. That's why you took the crew of the Shadowless Eclipse, Vrax realized. We needed to understand your offensive capabilities, Mercier confirmed without apology. They were treated humanely and returned to their homeworlds with modified memories. Another technology your assembly claimed was impossible. The implications were staggering. If humans could manipulate memory itself, what do you want from the assembly? Vrax asked quietly. Equality, Dr. Wolf replied simply. Recognition of our sovereignty. Access to the galactic community on our terms, not as a primitive species to be studied and eventually absorbed. And if the assembly refuses? Admiral, Mercier's expression hardened. Then Earth remains off limits. Our technology continues to advance independently, and perhaps one day we'll revisit the conversation from a different position of strength. As if to emphasize her point, the station hummed with power, and outside, the dome, stars seemed to bend momentarily as some vast energy field pulsed outward. That, she said calmly, was a demonstration of our quantum displacement shield. It just rendered this entire station undetectable to every scanning technology the assembly possesses. Vrax understood with sudden clarity why Earth was forbidden territory. It wasn't to protect the galaxy from humanity. It was to protect the assembly from the truth. Back aboard the harmonious discourse, Vrax called an emergency meeting of his senior staff. The implications of what they'd witnessed weighed heavily on all present. They've been manipulating us from the beginning, Security Chief Dorn growled, his massive paws clenching the table edge. This entire diplomatic mission was a calculated move to reveal their strength. No, Vrax countered. If they wanted to threaten us, they would have demonstrated their weapons, not their defensive capabilities. This was about something else. Science Officer Ezrilth's bioluminescence pulsed with agitation. The quantum technologies they're employing, some are referenced in theoretical archives dating back to the pre-unification era. Technology the assembly deemed too dangerous to develop. Too dangerous or too democratizing? Commander Lyrith asked pointedly. Instantaneous communication across any distance would transform power structures throughout the assembly. The room fell silent as the implications settled. Vrax had served the assembly faithfully for centuries, but he wasn't naive. The concentration of technological advancement among the founding species was no accident. Ambassador, the communications officer interrupted via intercom. We're receiving a transmission from Earth itself. Direct signal, bypassing our encryption protocols. On screen, Vrax ordered. The display activated, showing a human female with striking features, amber eyes, and silver-streaked dark hair. Unlike Admiral Mercier's military bearing, this human projected casual confidence. Greetings, Ambassador Keltoris. I am Director Octavia Voss, Earth Diplomatic Corps. I trust Admiral Mercier's demonstration was illuminating? Director Voss? Vrax acknowledged. Your demonstration was concerning. The Assembly will view this revelation as potentially destabilizing. That's precisely why we've maintained our distance, Voss replied. But circumstances have changed. We've detected Assembly military deployments in neighboring sectors, deployments your diplomatic channels weren't informed about. With a gesture, she brought up tactical displays showing Assembly battle groups assembling just beyond human sensor range, or what the Assembly had believed was beyond their range. This is standard rotation of peacekeeping forces, Dorn objected. 27 capital ships with planet-killer capabilities is hardly standard, Voss countered. Particularly when accompanied by stealth infiltration units designed for preemptive strikes. Vrax felt cold realization spreading through him. You believe the Assembly is planning aggressive action against Earth? We know they are, Voss said flatly. Because we've accessed the directive sent from Central Command to the fleet administrators. Would you like to see it? Without waiting for a response, the screen displayed an authenticated Assembly High Command communication, bearing the seal of Grand Arbiter Mox Thule himself. The directive was unambiguous. Prepare for containment operations against the Sol system. This can't be real, Lyrith whispered. I assure you it is, Director Voss replied. Your mission was never about diplomacy, Ambassador. You were sent to assess our capabilities while the Assembly positioned its forces. You were meant to fail. Vrax studied the directive, noting authentication codes that would be nearly impossible to falsify. If this is genuine, why reveal it to me? Why not simply prepare your defenses? Because despite everything, we believe in diplomacy, Voss said, her expression softening slightly. And our analysis suggests you do as well. Genuinely, not as a cover for military action. She leaned forward. There's something else you need to see. Something even your highest clearance doesn't grant access to. The display shifted again, showing an ancient recording, predating the assembly itself. The footage showed bipedal beings remarkably similar to humans, operating advanced technology on a world Vrax didn't recognize. These aren't humans, Voss explained. These are the precursors. The species your assembly histories claim developed interstellar travel independently and founded the first galactic civilization before mysteriously disappearing. Everyone knows the precursor narrative, Vrax said cautiously. What does this have to do with Earth? Genetic analysis, Ambassador. The beings you call precursors shared 99.7% of their genome with modern humans. They didn't disappear. They were systematically eradicated after establishing the early assembly, their homeworld quarantined and their colonies absorbed. Only their forgotten seed world survived, Earth. Vrax felt his world tilting on its axis. That's impossible. The precursors vanished 12,000 years ago. Human civilization is barely 6,000 years old. Conventional human civilization, Voss corrected. But we found the ruins, Ambassador, deep beneath our oceans under Antarctic ice, hidden in remote mountain ranges, evidence of advanced human civilization from before the Great Bombardment. The asteroid strikes your histories call natural extinction events. The implications were staggering. If humans were indeed descended from the precursors, if the early assembly had been responsible for an attempted genocide, the assembly leadership has always known, Voss continued relentlessly. Earth was quarantined not to protect the galaxy from us, but to prevent us from learning the truth while they prepared a final solution. They fear what we might become if we reclaim our heritage. Vrax looked at his crew, saw the shock and uncertainty mirrored on their faces. Everything they believed about the Assembly's benevolent foundation was being called into question. What would you have me do with this information? He asked finally. Director Voss's expression was resolute. Help us prevent another genocide, Ambassador. Because if the Assembly strikes first, I cannot promise humanity will show restraint in its response. As the transmission ended, Vrax realized why Earth was truly off limits. Not because humans were dangerous, but because the truth they carried, in their very DNA, could unravel the Assembly itself. The Grand Assembly Chamber on Nexus Prime fell silent as Vrax concluded his testimony. 500 representatives from across the galaxy sat in stunned contemplation of the evidence he had presented, evidence smuggled at great personal risk from the human station. Grand Arbiter Mox Thul's ancient face remained impassive, but the subtle darkening of his void matter epidermis betrayed his rage. Ambassador Keltoris, you stand before this assembly and accuse its founding members of genocide based on information provided by an unverified species. I present evidence obtained from multiple sources, Vrax replied calmly, though his heart raced. The genetic analysis has been verified by 3 independent xenobiologists. The historical records were cross-referenced with our own sealed archives. Science Director Ezrealth stood beside him, her bioluminescence steady and bright. I have personally verified the quantum equations. They are viable and consistent with theoretical models rejected by this body 5 centuries ago. Murmurs rippled through the chamber as representatives from younger member species exchanged troubled glances. The 7 founder species representatives remained stonily silent. Even if these humans are indeed descendants of the precursors, Mox Thul countered, it changes nothing. The containment fleet was assembled as a precautionary measure against an emerging threat. The Assembly has protected galactic peace for thousands of years by carefully managing technological development. Managing? Commander Lyrith stepped forward unexpectedly. Or suppressing. I've reviewed the directive logs. Over 3,000 technological innovations have been classified as destabilizing in the past millennium alone. Most discovered by non-founder species. The chamber erupted into chaos as representatives demanded answers. Mox Thule raised his ancient appendages for silence, his authority momentarily quelling the uproar. Order. This body will not be swayed by conspiracy theories and manipulated evidence. The humans are dangerous precisely because they advance too quickly, without the wisdom to handle such power responsibly. Their quarantine was established for the greater good. Then explain the fleet, Vrax demanded. Explain why bioweapons designed specifically for human physiology were being manufactured on Outpost Sigma-9. Before Mox Thule could respond, the chamber's central hologram activated independently. Director Octavia Voss appeared, her image towering above the assembly. Distinguished representatives, she began, her voice resonating through the chamber. I apologize for this unorthodox intervention, but time is critical. How dare you breach assembly security protocols? Mox Thule raged. Guards, terminate this transmission. They cannot, Voss replied calmly. Just as your fleet commanders cannot execute their attack orders against Earth, all quantum-linked communication systems across assembly space are currently being routed through our network. Stunned silence fell across the chamber. We do not seek conflict, Voss continued. For 12,000 years, humanity rebuilt from the ashes of attempted extinction. We rediscovered civilization, science, art, all while carrying the genetic memory of our ancestors' betrayal. When we found their hidden archives, we understood why Earth had been targeted for destruction. The hologram shifted, displaying images of ancient precursor technology, devices remarkably similar to those now emerging from Earth. The precursors, our ancestors, believed in technological democratization. They developed quantum engineering that would allow all species equal access to resources, communication, and defensive capabilities. Technology that would prevent any one group from dominating others. Her gaze swept across the chamber, lingering on the founder species representatives. Technology that would have prevented the very power structure this assembly is built upon. Mox Thule's form pulsed with dark energy. Enough of these lies. The precursors were unstable, their technology dangerous. The early assembly acted to preserve galactic stability. By annihilating an entire species? Voss asked softly. And now preparing to do so again? The evidence was undeniable. Deployment, orders, weapon specifications, target priorities, all displayed for every representative to see. We stand at a crossroads, Voss continued. Humanity does not seek revenge for ancient crimes. We seek acknowledgement, equality, and reform. The assembly was founded on noble principles even if its execution has been flawed. She extended her hand toward the chamber. We offer a choice. Continue down the path of conflict, where neither side can truly win, or embrace transformation. Allow humanity to rejoin galactic society as equals. Allow the technologies we've rediscovered to benefit all species, not just the privileged few. Vrax stepped forward. Representatives of the assembly, I have seen Earth's capabilities firsthand. If they wished us harm, this chamber would already be in ruins. Instead, they offer partnership. The chamber remained silent as the implications settled. Then, slowly, representatives began to rise. First from the younger species, then even some from the ancient ones. A rising tide of support for a new path forward. Mox Thule's form darkened further. You cannot possibly trust these primitives. They will destroy everything we've built. Perhaps, Vrax conceded, some of what you've built deserves to be reconsidered. In the days that followed, the assembly transformed more rapidly than in the previous 1,000 years. The human delegation arrived openly, bringing with them technologies long suppressed, medical advances that extended lifespans, energy solutions that ended resource conflicts, communication systems that connected the farthest reaches of the galaxy instantaneously. Earth's quarantine was lifted, replaced by a memorial commemorating the precursors, and a promise that such atrocities would never again be sanctioned in the name of progress or stability. As Vrax watched the first official cultural exchange ships depart for Earth, Director Voss joined him on the observation deck. Your intervention was crucial, she acknowledged. Without your testimony, we might still be preparing for war. I simply revealed the truth, Vrax replied. Though I'm still processing its implications, my entire career serving an assembly built on such a foundation. Systems can be flawed while still serving a purpose, Voss said gently. The assembly unified the galaxy, even if its methods were sometimes unconscionable. Now it can evolve into something better. And humanity? Vrax asked. After everything that was done to your ancestors, can you truly forgive? Voss gazed out at the stars, at the ships carrying curious visitors to and from the once forbidden Earth. Forgiveness is a complex process, but carrying hatred forward helps no one. We've survived extinction once. We'd rather ensure no other species ever faces such a threat again. Vrax nodded slowly. Is that why Earth was truly off limits? Not because humanity was dangerous, but because you represented the possibility of a different kind of galaxy. The most dangerous idea is often the most simple. Voss smiled. That power should belong to everyone, or to no one at all. As they watched the ships vanishing into the distance, Vrax understood at last. Earth hadn't been quarantined to protect the galaxy from humanity. It had been quarantined to protect a controlling power structure from the revolutionary idea that had nearly been extinguished 12,000 years ago, only to rise again from the same blue world. That true civilization meant lifting all beings toward the stars, not just the powerful few. And that, Vrax reflected, was why Earth had been the most dangerous planet in the galaxy, not for its weapons or technology, but for the simple, powerful truth its people carried in their very DNA. That freedom, once tasted, would never again be surrendered. The warning sign that had kept aliens away from Earth for centuries was finally replaced with a simple message of welcome. The most feared world in the galaxy had become its greatest hope.